President Jacob Zuma has filed an application for leave to appeal the North Gauteng High Court ruling that said Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa should appoint a new NPA boss, as Shaun Abrams' appointment was invalid. The president argues that Ramaphosa cannot appoint a new NPA head as two people can't be exercising presidential powers. In a ruling handed down last week, the court gave the deputy president 60 days to appoint a new NPA head after judges found the appointment of the current NDPP was invalid. President Zuma is also appealing that part of the ruling.
Judge Duncan Malambo and the full bench who made a decision to set aside the appointment of Shaun Abrams as the head of the NPA to decide whether the president will be granted leave to appeal. In my opinion, I think they will not grant him leave to appeal. I think that they will say that there's no prospect of success if he was to appeal that decision, in which case he would have to petition the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein. And same instance there, the court needs to apply the test, and that is whether the court quo, so in other words, the court who made the decision made the correct decision, and secondly, whether there's any reasonable prospects of success of that appeal. And once again, I do not foresee the Supreme Court of Appeal finding in the president's favor, in which case he is free to approach the Constitutional Court.
Joining us on the phone line is political analyst Professor Barry Hanyane. Good morning to you, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, what are your thoughts or your reaction initially to President Zuma's action to actually appeal the decision to have a deputy president be the one to appoint the NDPP?
Good morning, dear, and good morning to your viewers. Look, my simple, humble view on the matter is that we are likely to see the old tactics by the president wanting to drag this issue further and further, in a way delaying the matter not to be resolved as quickly as possible, given the fact that he still has some time in the office to spend until 2019. But the danger is, will the FCA in Bloemfontein as well as the Constitutional Court be sympathetic to that kind of political behavior? Remains to be seen. And my humble view on that alone is that both courts might not find sympathy on his behalf to drag this matter further.
And Professor, do you think that there are any chances of success? I mean, especially considering the fact that Judge President Malambo handed down the judgment in this case as well as yesterday's cases. It seems as though the judiciary is now beginning to frown upon actions by the president to cause seeming delays to prosecutions and delays to sort of judicial processes and other state processes. Yeah.
Look, I think if you study the judgment very carefully, President Judge Malambo gave somewhat of a comprehensive, rational argument behind all three judgments, starting from last week Friday and yesterday's. Now, for any court to find loopholes and misgivings in those judgments would be hard to find. I don't foresee the SCA nor the Constitutional Court coming into a different position and argument to that advanced by the benches, by the way, in the three judgments. It will be hard to find counterfacts. And given such a reality, it will be very difficult for the legal team on the part of the president to poke some holes into those judgments. I see this as an attempt to derail the process, more so trying to advance some kind of a political plea on the part of the president, rather delay the matter further without due consideration on the legal arguments advanced by the bench.
Professor, thank you so much for joining us here on Ground Report this morning. That was the political analyst, Professor Barry Hanyane. They're just stating that he doesn't think that any other court would actually rule differently on this matter, and that it would be hard for the president's legal counsel to find loopholes that they could use.